Hey, everybody. This is Brian coming back at you again, continuing our discussion this week on when to use systems thinking in your business. Now, as a reminder, the quick answer to that question is always the mental models, the tools. These are things that you can always use in your business to improve things, make things better, get more outcomes, get better outcomes. And you should really, as you get further along in your journey of learning systems thinking and how to apply this stuff to your business, you'll find that you're just using it all the time. Now, today I wanted to go a little bit deeper on one of the examples that I gave earlier in the week, which is using systems thinking to increase profits in your business. So that's what we're going to talk about today. Let's go ahead and get into it. So I want to start by defining profits because that's one of the words in business that gets used different ways. People think of it differently and have different meanings that they apply to profits. When I talk about profits, I'm talking about the amount that's left over after you pay for everything in your business. So you have gross revenues, how much total did you earn, how much came into your business. You're going to subtract your operating costs from that. What's left over is your profit. So as we talk through systems thinking today and applying that to increase profits, that's what we're talking about. We're talking about what's left over after you've paid for everything. Now, as we go through this, really what we're going to be talking a lot about today is efficiency, because increasing profits in your business with systems thinking, it really comes down to focusing on the efficiency of your systems, how efficient you are at getting things done, and how much you're spending, and then how much those systems are generating for you. So I want to walk through an example today. For our example, we're going to talk about creating content for organic growth strategies. Top of mind for me and a lot of other businesses out there right now. There's a lot of different ways that folks are using organic strategies to grow traffic through social channels. And let's talk about that as our example for today. Now, before we dive into it, I will say this is one example, but you can apply this same thinking. What's important is you pick up on the way of thinking, the manner of thinking, because once you do that, it doesn't matter what system you apply this to. It'll work on any system, not just organic growth strategies. So concentrate on thinking about how to approach the thinking piece of this and the mental models. That's what's going to give you the most value and help you increase profits in your systems and use these same tools to improve any part of your business. So if we think about creating content for organic marketing in your business, we're just going to talk through and say that you are creating an ad, that you're creating an article, not an ad. So once a week, you're sitting down, you're writing an article. We'll say it's 2,000 words long. And when you start to analyze this to understand how can I increase my profits around this system that I have to write these articles and produce these articles, you have to start thinking about the inputs and the outputs, okay? Thinking about efficiency and how we define efficiency of systems. Efficiency is really a ratio between how many inputs do you have, what are the costs of those inputs to your business, and then how much are you getting out of that system in terms of outputs, and what do those outputs do to actually earn you money later on. So increasing profits is all about looking at the system and saying, how do I make this system more efficient? So if we're talking about writing articles, let's just throw out a couple of, again, these are just going to be examples. Go with me on this and you can adjust it for your own business. But as we start to think about the inputs that would be involved in creating an article, we've got an image that we're going to need, at least one of them, right? Maybe we use multiple, but we'll want at least one image to go with our article. Let's say that image we buy from a service and it costs us $5 per image and it takes us 15 minutes to go in and do the research, find the right image that we want, actually pay for the image so we can use it the way we want to and get that piece locked in. We do some researching what topics we want to write about, what's what's trending today, what's popular, what do I need to be thinking about in terms of SEO. We'll spend some time researching what our content is going to be about. So we'll call that 1 hour. We're going to spend some time writing and editing the actual content. Okay, let's call that 2 hours for now. And we're assuming that we're doing a lot of this ourselves. You might be in a situation where you're outsourcing a lot of this, in which case you can just substitute the dollars that you're paying for the hours because you're paying somebody else to write it. So maybe it takes you 10 minutes and $100. Somebody else, maybe it takes them 3 hours, or any combination of dollars and time. So, but for our example today, we'll say we're writing the article ourselves and it takes us about 2 hours to do that. And then the last input we'll discuss is hosting. I've got to have somewhere to put that article. That hosting is going to cost me, we'll just say $10 a month. And if I'm writing 4 articles a month, then each of my articles is costing me $2.50 to actually host it in that month. So, and again, depending on how you do things, you might have other inputs that are really important to your process. This is just an example. It's not meant to be a rule book. So you can adjust that to what makes sense in your world. But again, thinking about the thinking, the point here is, think through all of the inputs that you have to your system that actually cost you time or money. Those are the inputs that really matter when thinking about improving the efficiency of a system. The other side to it is you want to think about your outputs. So we will say in this example that our output that we get out of this organic marketing system is a 2,000 word article. Okay, so at the end of it, once we're all done, we go through all of our steps, we get this article at the other end of it that we can then use to grow our business, to market our business, to share with others, etc. So now that we've got our inputs and our outputs defined, we can start to think, and the important part here is we've taken a baseline measurement of the efficiency of our system. So we can look at, we're spending $7.50, right? $5 for the image and $2.50 for the hosting. We're spending $7.50 to actually make this article, and we're spending 3 hours and 15 minutes, if we add it all up, on creating this article. Now we understand that we can talk about efficiency because we know what went in and we can measure what went in and we know what came out. We have a baseline. So now we can start making adjustments to our system. We can think through a couple of different ways of how we can improve our profitability specific to this system. So one way you're going to do that is you're going to look at the inputs and you're going to try and reduce those inputs in a way where you still get the same outputs. So in this case, we're going to look at, we're paying $5 an image for the images that we're using in our content. Can we maybe subscribe to a service that's $10 a month and unlimited images? Now we're not paying $5 for every image. We're just paying $10 a month, and we can get a lot more images that way and reduce our costs. Again, in our example, we're talking about 4 times a month. We're spending $20 a month on images. We're now reducing our cost by half if we're able to subscribe to a $10 a month service. So looking at reducing inputs, can we cut the money out? Can we reduce the amount of money that we're spending? Since that's one of our inputs here, we can look at our hosting. Can we get cheaper hosting that still is the same quality? We want to make sure we're not losing quality when we're making changes to our systems. So can we get cheaper hosting that gives us the same quality? That's another way where we might reduce the inputs. We can also look at our process for actually writing. What if instead of writing, we started using dictation, which we could do faster? We can talk faster than we can type. That could potentially reduce the amount of time that we're spending in our system to produce content. So that's another way to improve our efficiency. We are putting more in, we're putting less in, but we're still getting the same out. We're still getting our 2,000 word article that we can use for all of our content. So fewer resources in with the same outputs on the back end means that we're making our system more efficient and we're going to save money. The other way we could think about doing this is, can we increase the outputs while keeping the inputs the same? okay, not increasing those outputs. So maybe we're still spending $20 a month on images, but we're writing larger articles, or maybe we're able to write 2 articles in the time that we write 1. And we're able to do that by improving the way that we're actually doing the writing. Again, maybe we decide to use dictation, which we can do faster. So now we're spending the same amount of time doing the research and the actual writing, but we're able to get more out of that time that we're spending. That's another way that we're increasing our efficiency of our system, is we're still putting the same inputs in, but now we're actually getting bigger outputs out of the end. So one distinction that's important to make here as we think about this is you're going to have direct and indirect increases in your profits. A direct increase in your profits, that's actual dollars going straight to your bottom line that actually give you more money. So in the case we talked about, maybe being able to acquire images at a cheaper price, those are direct dollars that are going to go straight to your bottom line, and that you will see as a direct increase of your profits. Other improvements might be an indirect improvement to your profits. So when you talk about getting time back, if it takes you less time to produce that same article, that in and of itself is not going to increase your profits. Okay. If you spend that time playing Xbox games or PlayStation games, you're not going to see any more profits. You got more time back, but your profits aren't going to go up. So there's an indirect improvement that makes an assumption that you saving that time, you're going to spend that time doing other things in your business that are going to increase your revenue or further reduce your costs. So direct versus indirect. A direct increase, you're going to just see those dollars flow straight through. An indirect increase, you're going to get time back that you could spend doing other things. And that's true for you. That's true for your employees as well. If you have systems that your employees are working in, and you make those systems more efficient, if you're using a contractor and now you're not paying them to do anything, that would be a direct increase to your profits. If you are paying your employee to do other work, you're going to see that as an indirect increase. You're not going to see that straight away, but over time, you should be able to redirect them to other activities that are going to increase your profits. So that basically covers it for today. Just diving down a little bit deeper on how to look at systems and use systems thinking to increase your profits in your business. Again, we went through a specific example here, but you'd be able to use this way of thinking about any system in your business. Think about the inputs. Think about what those inputs actually cost you in terms of time and money. Think about the outputs, and then start changing your system to either reduce those inputs or increase those outputs, or both. Now, I'll encourage you, make one change at a time. What you don't want to do is go and change 15 things, and then you can't actually see which changes benefited you and which changes actually cost you or made things worse. So you want to make 1 or 2 changes at a time so that you can actually see the impact of those changes in reducing your costs, reducing your time, or increasing your revenue, and then make continued changes on top of that. So change a thing, measure it, see how it adjusts, and then make another change, and continue to do that until you feel like your system is in a good spot, and then go work on something else. Thanks again for your time, and I will see you online.